Ant-Man rises. How Anthony Edwards became the NBA's newest superstar. Have you ever wondered what it takes to become an NBA superstar? From tragedy to triumph, this is the story of Anthony Edwards, the young phenom who's taking the league by storm. Stand guard, basketball fans, because we're about to dive into the insane rise of the player they call Ant-Man. Hey there, hoop heads! Welcome back to our channel. Today we're talking about a player who's been lighting up the NBA with his electrifying performances and infectious personality. That's right, we're diving into the incredible journey of Anthony Edwards, the Minnesota Timberwolves' rising star who's redefining what it means to be a modern NBA player. Now before we get into the highlights and jaw-dropping dunks, let's rewind the clock and look at where it all began. Because trust me, this story is as inspiring as they come, and it's one that every basketball fan needs to hear. Anthony Edwards was born on August 5, 2001, in Atlanta, Georgia. From day one, he had athletics in his blood. His father nicknamed him Ant-Man long before Marvel made it cool. But life wasn't all superhero origin stories and slam dunks for young Anthony. And speaking of basketball, here's a twist that might surprise you. Edwards' athletic journey didn't start on the hardwood. That's right, basketball fans. Your favorite high-flying guard was originally a football prodigy. With his size and athleticism, Edwards was a standout running back and quarterback in his youth. Edwards quickly became a force on the hardwood. His natural athleticism translated perfectly to basketball, and he worked tirelessly to improve his skills. By his sophomore year of high school, he was already turning heads. He transferred to Holy Spirit Preparatory School in Atlanta for his junior and senior years, where he truly began to shine. At Holy Spirit Prep, Edwards' game reached new heights. He led his team to a state championship, averaging an impressive 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 assists per game in his senior year. His performances were so dominant that he quickly became the consensus top recruit in the country. College scouts from all over the nation were drooling over his potential. Edwards had his pick of top programs, but he chose to stay close to home, committing to the University of Georgia. He was drawn to coach Tom Crean's track record of developing NBA talent, including stars like Dwyane Wade and Victor Oladipo. Now here's where things get really interesting. When Edwards arrived at Georgia's training camp, he wasn't exactly turning heads, but in just 2 months, he improved his vertical leap from 39.5 inches to 41.5 inches. That's the kind of improvement that makes coaches and scouts sit up and take notice. And take notice they did. In his college debut against Western Carolina, Edwards exploded for 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 steals. It was a performance that had NBA GMs salivating. Over the course of his freshman year, Edwards averaged 19.1 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 2.8 assists per game. He was named to the All-SEC second team and was the SEC Freshman of the Year. Sure, his jump shot needed work, and some questioned his approach to the game. His shot selection was sometimes questionable, and his defensive effort wasn't always consistent. But Edwards' raw potential was undeniable. His combination of size, strength, and athleticism was rare, even by NBA standards. So undeniable, in fact, that the Minnesota Timberwolves couldn't resist. They selected Edwards with the first overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft. And folks, that's when Anthony Edwards truly began his ascent to stardom. As a rookie, Edwards didn't disappoint. He averaged 19.3 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 2.9 assists per game. Those are solid numbers for any player, let alone a rookie. But it wasn't just his on-court performance that had people talking. Edwards' charisma and charm off the court made him an instant fan favorite. His post-game interviews became must-watch content. Whether he was professing his love for Popeye's chicken or playfully trash-talking opponents, Edwards' personality shone through. He brought a refreshing honesty and humor to a league that sometimes takes itself too seriously. But Anthony Edwards wasn't content with just being a fan favorite. He wanted to be great. In his second season, Edwards hit the gym hard. He grew physically stronger and improved his shooting. The result? He upped his scoring average to 21.3 points per game and led the Timberwolves to their first playoff appearance in 4 years. And in those playoffs, Edwards averaged 25.2 points per game, shooting over 40% from three-point range. It was a performance that earned him a spot on the All-Star team in his third season. Not bad for the youngest player on the squad, right? But Edwards was just getting started. In the 2022-2023 season, he took his game to another level. He broke Sam Cassel's record for most points scored in a playoff series before turning 22, leading the Timberwolves to their first series win in 20 years against the Phoenix Suns. Let that sink in for a moment. A franchise that hadn't won a playoff series in 2 decades, and Edwards led them to victory. That's the kind of impact we're talking about here. But Edwards wasn't done making history. He surpassed the legendary Kevin Garnett for the most 30-point playoff games in Timberwolves franchise history. That's right, he outperformed KG, one of the greatest to ever wear a Wolves jersey. For context, Garnett is widely considered the best player in Timberwolves history, a former MVP and NBA champion. For Edwards to surpass him in any category, especially at such a young age, is truly remarkable. In the second round against the Denver Nuggets, Edwards continued to shine. In Game 6, with their backs against the wall, Edwards led all scorers with 27 points and 3 steals, willing his team to victory and forcing a Game 7. His performance in high-pressure situations showed a maturity beyond his years. Throughout the playoffs, Edwards showcased his full repertoire of skills, his ability to create his own shot, finish at the rim with power, and knock down clutch three-pointers made him a nightmare for opposing defenses. But it wasn't just his scoring that impressed. Edwards also showed growth as a playmaker and defender, often taking on the challenge of guarding the opponent's best player. Now, I know what you're thinking. Did they win it all? Well, not quite. The Timberwolves fell to the Dallas Mavericks in the conference finals. But even in defeat, Edwards won over fans with his confidence, his scoring prowess, and his admirable character. After the series, Edwards didn't make excuses. Instead, he vowed to come back stronger. In post-game interviews, he talked about the areas he needed to improve and his determination to lead the Timberwolves to greater heights. This kind of accountability and drive is what separates good players from great ones. At just 22 years old, Anthony Edwards has already solidified his status as an NBA superstar. His work ethic is legendary, his improvement is constant, and his potential seems limitless. Teammates and coaches rave about his dedication in practice and his willingness to learn. But what makes Edwards truly special isn't just his on-court dominance. It's the journey he's taken to get here. From losing his mother and grandmother at a young age to becoming the face of an NBA franchise, Edwards' story is one of resilience, determination, and unyielding spirit. Every time Anthony Edwards steps on the court, he's not just playing for himself, he's playing for the memory of his mother and grandmother. He's playing for every kid who's faced adversity and dreamed of something bigger. He's playing to inspire, and inspire he does. Whether it's with a thunderous dunk, a clutch three-pointer, or a post-game interview that leaves everyone smiling, Anthony Edwards is changing the game. He's bringing a joy and enthusiasm to basketball that's infectious, reminding us all why we fell in love with the sport in the first place. Off the court, Edwards is making an impact too. He's been involved in various community initiatives in Minnesota, including youth basketball camps and charity events. He's using his platform to give back to the community and inspire the next generation of players. So what's next for Ant-Man? Well, if his meteoric rise is any indication, the sky's the limit. An MVP award, an NBA championship. At this point, nothing seems out of reach for Anthony Edwards. The scary part for the rest of the league is that Edwards is still improving. His shot selection has gotten better, his defensive intensity has increased, and his playmaking continues to evolve. As he enters his prime years, there's no telling how good he could become. Edwards has also shown a knack for performing on the big stage. In addition to his playoff heroics, he was selected to play for Team USA in the 2023 FIBA World Cup. Competing against the best players from around the world, Edwards showcased his skills on a global stage, further cementing his status as one of the NBA's brightest young stars. Anthony Edwards' story is more than just a basketball story. It's a testament to the human spirit, a reminder that no matter what challenges life throws at you, you can overcome them and achieve your dreams. From a kid who lost everything to a superstar on the brink of greatness, Edwards' journey is an inspiration to us all. That's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the rise of Anthony Edwards, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more basketball stories.